we would need is one win, one sale to turn the company from being where it is today to being cash flow positive, profitable. All we need is one city. Understand that. We don't need 10. We need one. And so, you know, we have information that shows that there's been a very active process to try and derail every time we've gone to a city through negative PR campaign. But so I want to just go to these questions, and we'll get through this, and then we can move on to the rest of the
guys like just to go through those questions. It's your time.
Can I ask one question first?
Yeah.
If that's the case, then who is it that knows? Are there more people than Mr. Hill that know of what your plans are and who you're dealing with in advance so that they can derail? I mean, how does the public get that knowledge?
Yeah, okay.
Here's the issue. Like with Cape May, it was going to council to be voted on, and as soon as the press covered that council meeting and they put an article on it, and right after that article came out, someone contacted the Cape May, New Jersey, saying, "Well, do you know about this company and what's really going on?" And that's how it's getting derailed. Is we get in the door, we get things moving ahead, but the problem is our product's so great it hits the press, and then everyone does stories about it. We try to keep it quiet, and then it balloons out, people contact them, and it gets derailed.
And Cape May people go and talk to the city of Niagara Falls.
I'd like to address that.
Yeah.
I'm the guy on the ground. I'm the one that installs. I'm the one that makes them work out.
Just introduce yourself, James. Give me your title.
My name is James Scott. I'm the VP of Operations. So I'm the one that's sent out there that, you know, once they have a directive, they work with the city. I'm actually the one that goes out and works with the cities. I deal with the city councils, the mayors, the maintenance departments. Those are my daily people I come into contact with. I also deal with the public on a direct basis when I'm out in the field. I spend very little time in the office. Most of my time is spent actually out at the job sites. And my experience is that I had to, for the last, probably the last 6 months of PVT, keep my actions secret. Where I was, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to. Every time I progressed with the city, I'd fully disclose what was going on with NATCO. I'd explain the situation. And for the most part, they understood. They got the full picture. I showed them what was going on. They did speak to people at Niagara Falls. I explained sort of the political situation there, because there is a political situation that did affect a lot of things. And they still wanted to progress. It wasn't until press hit and that either parties of NATCO or somebody acting on their behalf would intervene that I'd be getting told unofficially that, you know, they were uncomfortable with the situation with PVT. They liked the system, they liked the people, they liked the meters, they wanted a system. There was some things, you know, generally about taking in a new technology, but there was multiple cities that were in various stages with putting that in place. Once people that are certainly not working, in my opinion, in the favor of the shareholders contacted these people through packages, through emails, through whatever means. I don't always know the means. Sometimes it'd be just a council member coming to me and saying, you know what, I got a bunch of this stuff, and you know, this is how it kind of makes me feel, and it makes us a little bit nervous. The answer was always, once this is cleared up, we'd love to have you come back. It was never, we don't want your company, we don't want your people, we don't want your product. It was basically, as a politician, they were uncomfortable with doing business with a company that had lawsuits, whether they were just or unjust. And I experienced that multiple times. I basically planned out the next year and a half of where I was going and what we were doing. We were doing rollout plans. We figured everything out. We were in advanced stages of negotiation with these cities, both through RFPs, and we had to keep everything secret because every time it hit the press, it started to go south. These cities were well aware of what was going on ahead of time.
And you have to understand about the press is when people contact the papers and say, oh, it's bad stuff, they thrive on it because we never had a bad article until this whole NATCO situation. And you're on the council, and you see this bad press, and they're calling you up and saying, hey, what are you doing about this company? They know it's going to blow up in their face, so they just cut it off. Okay, and that, you know, one article damaged one city. It was a $10 million deal. Okay, that was just one.
Yeah, it's the city administration work with us. The elected officials have to make the decision. And unfortunately, when you get to city council with the elected officials, it's inevitably public. And inevitably gets in the local press, and inevitably is available on Google Alerts, and away we go, right? Paul?
So we're saying that the councils and newspapers and cities that are interested in getting this information, are you saying that Stacy Hill is responsible for that information getting to those people? Like,
some of it, yeah.
Okay. Well, in the instance of Cape May, New Jersey,
you know, they did send some stuff.
there was a representative from Rupert Shore Law Corporation, which is the lawyer who represents NATCO, who proactively approached the local media there and provided information about the various lawsuits. Now that's a fundamental breach of all kinds of things, given that Rupert Shore is counsel of the company that we have a lawsuit against, and vice versa, and we have subsequently, the company has sued him for those actions. But nevertheless, it was very proactive, and you know, who the specific individuals were.
Well, I was with my lawyers when we contacted the reporter, because I actually got them to pull the online article and pull it from the paper, because they realized what was going on. We got them to Google Rupert Shore's office, which was a UPS postal store box, the address he uses, so they pulled it right away. But we did know, and this is coming from my lawyer, so he had told me that the pictures that were sent to him was by Stacy Hill of the office being empty.
So there's no like defamation suit that can be filed for?
Well, we can talk about that, but we're going to leave that
I gotta
later.
be, they don't want me here for that.
Yeah.
And can I ask?
Well, I have a question for Stacy directly, which,
Sure.
true or false, it seems to me that you put in your time but no money, and that if you were actually interested in making money off of your shares, which originally seems how you're going to be compensated, then you would be putting all this defamatory information out there to try and derail PVT. So now it seems, in my mind, what's being said is that you're trying to bankrupt the company or sue the directors for the patents so that you can have all the gain for yourself, which then leaves all the people who have put money in initially to support the industriousness of PVT in providing a product, and leaves them out with nothing. So I guess, is that true or false?
Well, there's a lot of parts to be true or false in there, but by and large, some would perceive them as true, but most of it is false.
Okay, so again, no.
Because, I mean, there's lots of things
Right,
covered
no
off,
answer.
okay?
I just hope,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, conscience-wise, I hope you can sleep with yourself at night.
Oh, that, you know what, that's not a problem, that hasn't been an issue.
It doesn't
Thank
seem
you.
like you have a conscience.
Oh, I have a huge conscience. That's why I'm doing this, because I have so many of my good friends that I can't even talk to.
You
Because
get the impression you have no friends.
Yeah.
We don't have
Can we not keep, there's.
I'm sorry, I'm just,
Yeah.
this guy just pisses me off, somebody excuse me.
Would you like to take a shot at me?
If we want to talk about good friends, how long have we known each other, Paul?
We
Since
had
what, 39?
we had our 20-year reunion last year, so I guess it's been.
Yeah, 20 some years. I happen to have every single one of my family members in here. My grandmother-in-law, my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces. So if we're going to talk about who's having friends and relatives involved in this, Stacy, and plus I've got hundreds of thousands of my own dollars invested in this. Never mind. So, you know, don't use that as an excuse, because clearly your actions are not supporting anything other than yourself and potentially some deal you must have worked out with NATCO. I don't know what it is. I have no evidence of anything, but logically, that could be the only interpretation, that you have some sort of deal worked out with NATCO to
Can I
support
ask
your
Stacy a
efforts.
question?
Because they're the only ones who benefit.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question, Stacy?
Yeah, sure, right.
The kind of understanding I'm getting is they're saying that this defamatory information is going to people and it's like putting the kibosh on deals. So the question